The answer is long PRs, not complicated pull requests, not buggy PRs, not poorly documented PRs, not big ones, long ones.
Okay.
I'm going to explain why this is the case anecdotally, pictorially, and I'm going to show you the actual code from my mistake in the last 2 weeks and how impactful it was. And then finally, I'm going to explain what to do instead. And if you get into this scenario, how to get yourself out. So let's start with the explanation about what this really is and how it happens with my official marker board over here. Okay, welcome to class. This is what a normal, pretty healthy branch history looks like. This is the main branch. The bottom blue is just like all your teammates imagine, and the green is you. So here you took a little longer. Think about this as time. Like this is a longer one than this one is. You took a little longer here, but that's fine. So maybe you're working on the feature stuff. They're working on bugs. That's all good. That's fine. This one, not so good. A couple of them got in quicker, and you probably got in pretty close to the bug fix here. So one of you, depending on who got in first, had to deal with some conflicts, because yours, just by a function of it being longer, let's assume is more complex and touched more files. So you had to figure some stuff out here. But then theirs got in and you got back on tracks. This is the bad scenario that we're going to talk about here. So it's going well. I'll use I instead of you. I am starting this feature. I don't know exactly what it's going to take to get there. I don't have it clearly documented. I am just going out and exploring a little bit. And I say, we're going to be in separate parts of the code. You're going to be down here with my teammates. You're already starting on this. So I can go out and explore a little bit. So I get here and I don't do small commits. I don't restrict it to a certain area of the code. I don't restrict it to a certain type of code, whether it's like a feature or a chore or a fix or a doc. Like, I'm just going for it. I'm playing around. I always say I can just go back to where I started from, but then I keep going and I'm adding a little more complexity. You guys are still going well. I look at this PR when it gets in here and it seems fine. Like, there's probably gonna be a little conflict, so I'm not gonna bring it into mine. I'm just gonna finish, get in here, and then maybe I'll deal with some conflicts here, I tell myself. But then I go a little longer and I realize, okay, I could solve this maybe one way, the brute force way, but there's actually a nicer way to do it. And if I just go a little more complicated, I could clean it all up really nice. And so I keep going. At this point, people are kind of asking, hey, what's going on? When's it going to come in? Is there going to be any issues? What's it look like? People are wondering. We have other PRs coming in here. Maybe another teammate is kind of like me and is doing the same thing. Now I'm this far in and I'm like, okay, I probably got to bring some of this stuff in. So now I do an update. I have a bunch of conflicts, but I figure it out. I deal with it. It took a while, but I'm here now. Okay, now there's some bug fixes from these other checkpoints where it diverged into doing things I probably shouldn't have on this one PR. Now there are maybe a bug from this merge conflict. Now I have a couple implementations going on in my head and I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to send it. I'm going to send it. I give myself permission. I'm going to get this done and figure it out and get out of this. So I just start touching all types of code all over the place. I'm like, it just has to work. It just has to work. Then I'll go back and I'll clean it up. It just has to work. People are asking, hey, when's it going to get done? Are we all good? Can we see a draft PR? What's the ETA? But I've got all these different bugs and I've been telling the developers over here, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And I'm in so deep and I don't want to talk to them because like my head is in this complexity. I want to context switch. I'm going to skip my meetings. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to document. I'm just going to get it done. So I spent a couple days trying to get it done. Well, now obviously we had a couple more teammates merge in here. And then I introduced a couple more bugs and now everything's broken and everyone's mad at me and we have to release it somehow here. This is our deadline. Everyone's stressed because this has at least 3 features now and it's not even in yet. And these people haven't seen it. We haven't been able to test it as a combined system with my feature and all these fixes and other small features. The stakes are high. There's pressure. Everyone's coming at me. We're angry. We're asking what's going on. Then I go hard for a couple nights and I get it in. I bend some rules while that happens, and we do our testing and maybe a quick bug fix here or there, and then we hit the release or the deadline and it's out there. Sigh of relief. Not really though, because all these issues are still there. All these bugs are still there. The tests are broke. All the rules are gone. The code quality is gone, and maybe even these decisions that I made. And now we're kind of stuck with it because guess what? This is a big PR, obviously. So it has a ton of files in it. It's hard to even understand what happened here, and here, why these things happened. These other teammates aren't even going to look at it. They're just going to try to deal with it. The next 2 weeks are cleaning up the mess from this. Okay, so this is what to do instead. Remember, this was the okay version. This was like ideal. This is okay. At this point, you cut your losses, okay? And while you're going, you had small commits that were semantic, meaning they restricted themselves to just the changes that were needed, and they did one thing, like a bug fix commit, fixed a bug. A feature commit, added a feature, right? And so that means you can take some out if you need to. You could cherry pick them from one branch to another when you're doing this step. You had a draft kind of around here so these other people could see what you're doing, and you at this point you probably added some things that didn't need to be there, and you're just going to deal with it. You take on that tech debt and you get it in, and maybe you clean it up here and they can continue on with their lives. Finally, at this point, you had a budget. You're like, I'm going to go until Friday and see if I can make this work. And it was Friday, and then you spent all Friday just figuring out how to get it in. Semantic commits, draft PR, time budget, and plan things out. So that's the ideal situation. Honestly, I feel like everyone's going to get to a point where they can't just do this, and they're going to be tempted to do this. So here's how to do this well, or how to minimize some of the damage. Okay, so you're committed. There's no way out from having this kind of scenario. Here's some tips. Don't merge until your other teammates get theirs in. Okay, so don't try to make this happen right here when everything's getting in at the same time. Just do what you're about to do here, which I'll explain in a sec. Let them get in, then you come in last. You also test some of their stuff right here. You're taking the lead on that. Okay, so you're kind of waiting in this step. Right here, you're documenting as you go. The documentation is kind of like you doing a merge, in a sense. You're doing a draft PR, you're doing small commits at this point, you're starting conversations, you're explaining what you're doing, you're maybe updating the README or the PR docs or whatever else you can just to make this happen in their head over here. So it's not like here's the code, here's everything, figure it out. It's like, here's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be messy, it's gonna be a little sloppy, but this is the plan. So that way, the next 2 weeks after this happens, you contain some of the damage. Finally, you can always walk away. It is okay to get to this point and to say, okay, doing this would actually be worse for the product, the company, the stakeholders. I'm just gonna leave that branch out there, and then we're gonna do the release without it, or I'm gonna branch off of here and do some hacky BS just to get whatever I was trying to do over here done. Merge that garbage in, and then you take what you learned here in your head, or maybe you document somewhere, and then you apply it in future sprints and work. It doesn't all have to be in right now, usually, because remember, you did like 3 different things here. I am trying to make it not about you. I did 3 different things here, and I can just take one of them, or I can do 3 of them separately in the future. Okay, so that was more theoretical and about you. Now it's about me and how this applied to me in the last 2 weeks. For context, I'm spending the 2025 making my open source calendar app profitable. So I needed to do a lot of work. I can't be making these kind of mistakes, and this is what I was up against and what I did. Check it. Okay, this is the web in the olden days when we didn't have big frameworks and a lot of data. So imagine each circle is like a page and each rectangle is like a section on the page, like a header, the body, footer, for example. There's no data being shared between anything. It's like, it's fine. It's just what it is. We're in different times now, obviously. So here's a few different ways to organize the data. One is you have shared state for minimal things, user profiles, preferences, right? And then each of the sections have their own little data store here. So they consume from the global shared state, but then they only access their data store and they don't connect with each other. There's no lines between the green boxes. Here's another way, the global store. It's all done in here. So everything concerns from this. This is like the brain. It's very smart. You have to be diligent about how you set this up, because if you don't want a change here to all of a sudden trigger a change over here when it just needed to change this, right? But then the benefit of that is that these can just access that and not have to worry about all the complexity when you're in these files. I went kind of a hybrid route. Where is it now? Here we go. For a lot of reasons, I decided to do global, but then I have a copy of some of the data here. And then this is temporarily what I use when these things are triggering actions. Okay, and then once this is done, then that goes away. This is updated. And then the next time something changes, this is triggered with the global. A temporary subset of that data is here. It's operated against, then it updates this. Okay. Would I do it this way in the future? No, but this is what I got right now. And it's not about making the best architecture in 2025. It's about making it profitable. So I've been trying to deal with this and also make it better in the future. This is what I'm going to talk about. Okay. We added a context menu or a right click menu. So I just right clicked and we got something going, and the buttons change the priority, which changes the color. And when you delete, it deletes it. And when you edit it, it opens up the form. Simple, what you'd expect, but the goal was to make it usable. And this actually does make it a lot usable, because if you have a lot of events and you want to organize them, you want to tag them, it's just a lot nicer to do it like this. We did it right this way. We were getting into the weeds a little bit. Okay, is that a bug? I don't know. We were getting into the weeds about this because it was mostly working for the grid events and the all day events, even though there's a little delay there, but it wasn't working for these. So then we're like, okay, it's been long enough. Let's just get it in. We cut it, and you can't right click over here. Nothing, it doesn't show up. We're going to get to this in the future, but that's it. Context menu. This was a bug, and I've been working on something for 10 days. This actual bug right here was small. Like it's not that big of a deal. It should be a really quick PR. It's been 10 days because I've been getting into that situation I described, the long PR, because in trying to fix this, I was also trying to fix this and this and this. It was all kind of connected to, that fundamental problem I was talking about. And it got ugly. Let me show you. So let me show you the code, the PR. This was the initial one. This was the initial big one. 48 files, 22 commits, however many days, 10 days ago. I got in really deep and I was just figuring out the problem. I was trying out those different solutions. I got in over my head and it was kind of working, but then the solution I came up with, which is mostly here, the global handle, it was like actually a step down from what we had initially. So I just left that there. I left it there because I didn't want to take it all in as it was. And then I started a new one 3 days ago where I just took out a small piece of what I was doing there And even this has gotten a little big. It's 33 changed files, but then formatting happens, so it's probably going to be more like 90 or something. And this is more just reorganization. It's not even a complete overhaul. It's just like, hey, let's organize how we're accessing the state a little differently. Here's the good stuff here. Actually, I need to push up a little bit. The long story short is that I'm using a global context instead of just passing around their own handlers. But both these things here, have no value to users. It does not help at all. No one cares. No one cares about either of these things. And on the one hand, it's important to get it done and set up the code base so that it can do other features without being hamstrung. On the other, it's I don't know, a bit demoralizing to not have the PR get in yet and for it to still just not be ready. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because we have a roadmap. We have a plan to make it good enough to use. This is where we're at right now. By end of March, it's mid-February, so we're halfway there, and we got a long ways to go. And so 10 days on something that doesn't actually feel like it's making it good to use, it feels like it's just a hard pill to swallow. I didn't plan to get into this, and here I am. I hope once this gets in, it'll make life a lot easier for the future, but it's not a win just yet.